What is up, everybody? The NFC West Roundtable is back on each of our platforms once again. And those of you that joined us last week know that we had a little rankings edition for the offensive side of the ball. And tonight we are moving to the defensive side of the ball and ranking the head coaches of our football teams in the NFC West. I'm going to go around the table real quick, see how everybody's doing. Jake, you're immediately next to me. How you doing, brother?
I'm great. I love being here with you guys. I'm excited. And yeah, it's been awesome. People have reached out about the tickets and everything. And we've talked about it. It's going to be fun, and I can't wait. I'm ready for football season to get here. I mean, I don't want to rush the summer because I do live in upstate New York, but yeah, I'll take
savor.
I'll take watching football any day.
You got three of us that live in paradise, basically.
I know.
And you're in upstate New York. Oh, gosh. What's up, Mike? How you doing, man? Representing the Arizona Cardinals, by the way.
We're in flames, man. We're in flames right now. What are you talking about? I want the summer to end. We're like 116, 115, man. It's one of those things that obviously you dread the summer. I'm used to it, but like as you get older, man, you just want to stay indoors. And in the AC and everything's good, but no, I'm good, man. I'm excited about chopping it up. I've seen a lot of comments on there saying that I get walked all over on, and it's and that's not the case, man. I really does not. I mean,
you said it.
You're only no. I see. Hold on, I'm gonna go see if I can go find him real quick. I don't think it's
the fact that I get walked over on. It's just, this is the opinion of what people think from the outside, right?
Team.
And that's what it is, right? Because like people don't realize that they want me to fight tooth and nail, but if it's 3 against, whoa, look, what am I supposed to do here at the end of the day, right? Like Arizona Cardinals have been 4 wins prior, to with Cliff Kingsbury and then Jonathan Gannon, and then we won 8 wins and then crash and burn. So it is what it is. The Cardinals need to prove it. Kyler needs to prove it. So for the people out there that are really upset that I'm not coming out here with bats and all this different stuff, let the Cardinals prove it first, and then I'll go out here and protect them.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much you can do. You're only one vote. If we got, if we're doing votes and coming up with rankings, I mean, your vote is only 25%. If the other 3 of us disagree, then that's just what it is. So, exactly. You made your case. So we'll see how the defensive side of the ball goes. Brandon, representing the Seahawks, how you doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing great, man. We're getting through this off season, and I'm really proud of our audience for getting so many signups here for this event. I mean, it's just so cool. You never know if we're gonna get enough to sign up, and you guys you rang that bell for us, and I'm really looking forward to being able to meet these guys in person and chop it up with all, and having a good amount of time too. We're not just in this in and out in 2 hours. Like, hey, see you, bye. We're getting a chance to really have some fun with it. So looking forward to that, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you that may have not known what they're talking about, they all alluded to an event that we were having week 5. 49ers versus Rams at SoFi Stadium, Thursday night football. We are doing a meet and greet. So it's a 2-day event. Essentially, you'll get tickets to a live podcast where we will all be hosting a podcast at a local establishment, yet to be determined. Then we will also be tailgating before the game. You can hang out with us there. And then you will be sitting with us during the game. So pretty cool experience overall. I think last I checked, there was like 13 tickets left, maybe. It should be pinned to the top of the chat. It's $300 all in. That'll get you tickets to the game, tickets to the pod, and then tickets to the tailgate. And then all 4 of us are going to be there, plus Z-Bot, for those of you that do watch the roundtable. NFC West Roundtable. Z-Bot is our normal host. He will be there as well. Buffalo Bills fan, though, so we all hate him equally. But yeah, so that's what these guys are talking about. Once again, it's pinned to the top of the chat. Once the tickets are out, that is it. There is going to be no more. So make sure you grab those if that's something that you're looking to attend. Week 5, Thursday Night Football, 49ers versus Rams. But fellas, we got to get back into this because last I checked, we did the offense last week. These were our rankings overall. We had the QB rankings, the running back went through. Now, what we established when we did this is that the 49ers technically had a higher overall ranking than the Rams. However, we all agree that the importance of the quarterback position, O-line position kind of outweighs receiver, tight end, what have you. And so we gave the Rams the overall number 1 offense. I do need to actually add here overall defense. So let me do that real quick. and then we will jump in. We'll do it a little bit different this week. What we'll do, instead of me throwing out my rankings, I'll call on one of you guys to give me your rankings, and then we will kind of go off of that conversation. So does anybody want to talk about the defensive line and give their rankings first?
Well, real quick, are you're still tallying it up though, right, Jesse?
Yeah, I'm gonna tally it up overall. Yep.
Cool.
Yep. I've got offense here from last week, and then we'll go defense this week, and we'll go from there, have the conversation. So defensive line, who wants to go?
I'll kick it off here.
Have some strong pins. All right,
I'll go
Brandon,
for
what
it.
you got? Right.
So I've got the order on my defensive line going with, I'm going to be definitely looking to the Homerville today, much more so than last week.
I love this.
Okay. So I'm going Seahawks to lead this off. I've got the Rams number 2.
Seahawks everywhere.
You're on the right path here. Keep going.
Okay.
Keep going.
All right.
Keep it going.
All right. Oh,
Then we got the Rams number 2 for me, and I'll just give you the order, and I'll explain them real quick as I give you the order. Then I got the Cardinals 3, then I got the 49ers as 4.
Okay.
Now, my reasoning beyond this, and a lot of my reasoning today, you're going to feel on some of my wanting to put Seattle so high up, comes from the part, first off, you're returning every single starter to this defense last year. They got better as the year went along in the first year under Mike McDonald. You also have a couple guys that are key backups in addition that are key reserves, Uchenna and Jaron. I know this has nothing to do with Jaron. Was a little bit to do with defensive line, but it's the stack and it's the assembly as much as anything else here. And I guess we got to make sure we're making ourselves clear here. We're considering outside linebackers like we would a 4-3 defensive end, since it's essentially alignment we're talking about here. They're not linemen. So we're 4 deep as far as edges go. We got all those starters coming back. You have Uchenna coming back who didn't play at all for you last year. You got DeMarcus Lawrence coming in there as well. Your interior with Byron Murphy coming back. Leonard Williams was in the voting for a defensive player of the year. I mean, he got votes last year. Maybe didn't get up high, but he was in the discussion on it. So I look at your defensive line and I say, man, you're pretty strong front to back. You've got the depth. I've got star power with guys like Leonard Williams and Byron Murphy, who, if you can move him out of the nose tackle, which the team is showing in OTAs, that's going to be their intention. He was good last year, but he was taking on double teams as a 3 tech at 290 pounds. You remove that next year, I think he's going to be a lot better shape. As far as the others go, the Rams, kind of a similar situation by Seattle. Yeah, you've got Verse on the up and coming, and he might be a guy to become really a superstar type guy, but they've got a good amount of strength front to back. Poona Ford brought in. They've got the depth to call upon. They can be dangerous all throughout those 4 spots. They don't have to blitz necessarily to get the job done, and they can be good against the run overall, though I think that's where a little bit of the weakness lies with them versus Seattle, where I think that's where you can get after that defensive line a little bit when it comes to the run. I don't think you're going to be able to do the same with Seattle, especially with Lawrence in on early downs there to be that power edge in this defense. So I got them at number 2, 3. Cardinals have been doing a good job, or maybe the best job they've been doing at any positional group the last couple of years, is trying to beef up that defensive line. It still is a little bit on paper, Mike, but it certainly is legitimately to be just as good as anything else in this division. They've got as much talent on paper as anybody in that way, but they got to realize it. Ojulari's got to do something, right? DeMarcus Robinson's got to do something, or, he's got to get out there. Robinson's got to get out there and do something. So, and Niners, Jesse, you talked about last week. I think you captured it well when you were talking about your defensive line. You guys really built this up to be kind of more of a run stuffing unit at this point. Doesn't mean it's going to be a bad line, just that it's the weakest in a division with some pretty strong defensive lines. And certainly Bosa gives you the star power, but you are a little bit worried with him on the injury front, especially considering his brother, who just can't ever seem to stay healthy. Is he going to go down that same path?
I don't actually disagree with most of this. I have it slightly different, and I'll wait till the end to give my rankings, but I do agree. I mean, the 49ers right now, tons of talent. We may be looking at it at the end of the year and moving them up for sure, depending on how these rookies play, but it's unproven talent. It's talent that hasn't taken a single snap in the NFL for the most part. And so it's impossible to put them above what is proven talent throughout the rest of the division. And this is probably the strength of the division. I mean, if I was to choose one unit in the whole division that is the strength of the NFC West, it would be defensive line. So there's no way that I can make a sane argument that 3 rookies that are supposed to play a ton of snaps for the 49ers are better than proven players that are proven to play at a high level. So 49ers being last, I actually don't have an issue with. Mike, we'll go from right to left. What are your thoughts on Brandon's rankings?
Yeah, I mean, fascinating. I mean, I love to hear what you guys have to say. And I think when we're talking about like most improved in terms of like, I guess who upgraded the most from like 2024 to 2025, I think the Cardinals are definitely up there in terms of like the best teams or one of the best teams in the NFL in general. Like they've added crazy talent with Tomlinson, Calais Campbell, which is still doing it in his close to 40s. And of course, you know, all the other guys that we brought in via draft and the second year guys. But yeah, I'm still kind of in one of those, I want to kind of wait and see what they do for the Arizona Cardinals before I crown them number one. So to kind of, you know, make it short here, I do have the Rams up there at number one. Biggest reason as to why is because I do agree with the whole Jared Verse, man, that guy's going to be very, very deadly. As long as he can continue to what he did in his rookie year, going into his second year, and then Braden Fisk as well, Puna Ford as well, another good, talented guy. And I always kind of look at like what the defense did and what the team has done kind of as a whole. So obviously the establishment, I got to give the edge over to the Rams. I feel like that is the team to beat for this whole NFC West this year. So I got the Rams at number one. I'm going to mix it up and throw my homer card out there, Brandon. But I'm going to give the Arizona Cardinals. And yes, I know I just said is based off potential, but just the talent of what they've actually brought. Like we can't come out here and say that, you know, Calais Campbell, right? Like on paper, you're right. I mean, they got to stay healthy. And I do agree with that. But these are some really talented players with Dalvin Tomlinson, Calais Campbell, Josh Sweat, another guy that was added. Now, yes, we do have to wait and see what Darius Robinson, can BJ Ojulari stay healthy, right? There's a lot of ifs in that as well. But we got one of the most depth like rosters in terms of like guys with very, very high potential on this roster for the Arizona Cardinals. So I got to put the Arizona Cardinals at number two. Then I got to follow it with the Seattle Seahawks. And it's nothing, I'm not trying to badmouth you guys or anything like that. You guys have a really, really good, solid defensive line. You guys were, you know, our Achilles heel in 2024. You were always harassing Kyler Murray. So it's not one of those things where I'm like, oh, you guys are not good. But, you know, I got to put my Arizona Cardinals at two. And then I got to go number four with the 49ers, just because all the talent you guys went ahead and just not had. You try to replenish it, right? You know, let's see what Michael Williams does. But young guy, we really don't know exactly what he's going to do. You made a trade for what's his name?
Huff.
Huff. And I don't know. Let's see what he does. I know he had a really good year with the Eagles, but you know, it's the Eagles with the stacked defense. Let's see what he does with the 49ers.
He was out last year.
He was
out. Yeah, he was out last year.
Well, he played some. Huff,
he played a little bit.
He was a healthy scratch in the Super Bowl. Healthy scratch in the Super Bowl, though.
Yeah. Gotcha. So still got 49ers at the end. So just to recap, Rams, Cardinals, Seahawks, and 49ers.
Sorry to interrupt you, Mike. My bad, Mike.
No, you're good, dude. You're good.
All right, Jake, how do you have it?
Yeah, so I have the Rams number one, Seattle number two. I have the 49ers three and the Cardinals four.
49ers three? Really? Okay. All right,
let's start off with the obvious. The Rams are the best defensive line, or, you know, if we're taking edge and interior defensive line. You got Kobe Turner. You talk about proven talent. He's somehow underrated now because of Jared Verse, because of Braden Fisk, because of Puna Ford, because of Byron Young. Kobe Turner is really important. So all those guys, love what they're building there. I like their depth. I know we were talking about depth last time around. Obviously, I would give points and give tiebreakers to the team that has better starters, but I don't have to worry about that with the Rams because they have a great defensive front. But their depth is important. Tyler Davis, Desjuan Johnson, Ty Hamilton, who they got, in the fourth round. So they have some guys that I definitely am keeping my eyes on as well. And then Josiah Stewart, I think, is somebody that is going to be a huge problem. And if he takes Byron Young's job next year, do not be surprised. I think he is going to be a really good one for the Rams. Then you look at Seattle and kind of just, looking at Seattle, I was really impressed with their ability to go out and get DeMarcus Lawrence for the same reasons that, of course, Brandon alluded to. Leonard Williams was fantastic last year. Byron Murphy, he has gotten off to a slow start, but he also isn't playing in the same role he was in college. So that's important to point out. Jaron Reed is a really good player in his own right. And then, of course, you do have guys like Boye Mafe, who had like a 7 or 8 game sack streak. So really like what they have there. Uchenna Nwosu, I'm a big fan of. Then you have the 49ers. The reason for the 49ers is because I do think you got to give Nick Bosa and Bryce Huff some love here. Bryce Huff was one of the best pass rushers, not last year, but a year prior when he was with Robert Saleh. So I just feel like, you have Jordan Elliott, you have Kevin Givens, you have CJ West, you have Alfred Collins. I understand some of those guys are unproven, but I do think there is a significant boost having a guy like Nick Bosa next to a guy like Bryce Huff. And I am really, really high on Mykel Williams. His run defense alone is going to be top notch. But when he figures it out as a pass rusher, you're going to be talking about one of the better, just all around, defensive players, on the line in the league. So I actually really like what the 49ers have done. And again, I understand that there is some unproven talent here, but Mike, I had to go with the Niners here because Bosa and Bryce Huff. I thought the move to get Bryce Huff was genius. Every time Howie Roseman makes a move, it's just gushing left and right. Can't believe he was able to do this and do this. But you know what? I think the 49ers stole him, and I think people are going to see that. Bryce Huff is somebody that I watched. I actually covered when I was covering the Jets. He is a very, very good player. It just didn't work in Philly, but when it did work, it was working with, of course, Robert Saleh. So I'm excited to see that. And then last, but definitely not least in a sense, because I think all these defensive lines, as Jesse alluded to, are really good. I look at the Cardinals and, you have Dalvin Tomlinson. I'm not a Walter Nolan fan at all. That's already been established, so I'm not going to waste any breath on that. But Josh Sweat was a hell of a pickup. Loved that move. I like Justin Jones. Darius Robinson's a former first-round pick. He is going to develop. I trust this team. Calais Campbell, love that addition. Zaven Collins, BJ Ojulari. I definitely like a lot of the guys that you guys have. Baron Browning, of course, as well as Mac Wilson Sr. can come off the edge, as well as Xavier Thomas, who I think is kind of slept on a little bit. So I think it's a really good, just overall, the division is just littered with defensive line talent, but that's how I have it. Rams 1, Seahawks 2, 49ers 3, Cardinals 4.
Okay. Wow. I've got it. Rams 1, Seahawks 2, Cardinals 3, 49ers 4. Again, I love what the 49ers did. Absolutely love what they did in the draft, but it's too unproven. When I look at what the Cardinals did, I've got this comment here that says Cardinals defense is bottom 5 in the NFL. Maybe last year that would be the case, but you're talking about a team that added Calais Campbell, Dalvin Tomlinson, Josh Sweat, and is bringing back essentially a second-round pick in Ojulari, who missed all of last year. Darius Robinson was a first-round pick and really never got onto the field because of injury. Zaven Collins is a former first-round pick. You've got a lot of high-end talent. Then those are the backups. Like, those guys aren't being counted on to start, on top of drafting Walter Nolan, another first-round pick. And then, let's not forget that they traded for Baron Browning. So they've got a lot of depth and a lot of potential. And along with that potential, they also have 3 proven assets, like I said, in Campbell, Tomlinson, and Sweat. Obviously, Bosa is the best in the division, in my opinion, but he's one guy. When I look at the other proven talent along the 49ers defensive line, it's Bryce Huff, but Bryce Huff is going to be a rotational pass rusher who has one good year in five seasons. So is he the one good year with Saleh? Also, let's not forget that he had 2 other seasons with Saleh where he was mediocre at best, and then wasn't good last year with Philly. A lot of that was injury related, maybe some fit, what have you. So I've got to see it come together. Again, I love what the Niners have done, but I cannot in good conscience, good faith, put them above 3 teams who have proven assets in the NFL in abundance. So for me, and when I look at the overall rankings, this is how we ranked it as a division. So
yeah, I have no issue having the Cardinals ahead of the Niners. And it is funny in the comment section, be like, people hate you think I hate the Cardinals more than the 49ers? Really?
Well, it sure seems like it.
What are we doing here? The Cardinals are my second favorite team in this division. I mean, the Rams fans don't have any issue with the Cardinals. Nor should they ever have any issue with the Cardinals. So
yeah.
I'm glad we squashed that bug.
Well, I have a quick question, Jake, real quick. Is it because the Cardinals haven't proved very much as to why you don't do you think the 49ers are a much more proven organization as to why you ranked because this is not one of the first rankings, but I guess my question is, why do they usually get the edge over the Cardinals, in your opinion?
I mean, I think really what it comes down to is, I think like they typically have that star guy. Like the Cardinals might have a little bit more depth, but I give more points, so to speak, to the 49ers because they have Bosa. And
Fair.
I'm a lot higher on Bryce Huff than a lot of other people are. And I do think him with Saleh again is going to be a big deal. And while he will be rotational, he still could end up having like 70 pressures. I mean, he is a very productive player. He's got a really quick first step. He's going to be a problem. I'm telling you, when they got him, I thought that was a really good move. But as far as, why Rams fans don't hate the Cardinals, I think that's obvious. I mean, the 40, I mean, I was born in 95, so I'm not going to pretend like the 49ers rivalry in the 80s had anything to do with me, but there has been kind of that, Deamador Lenore and Deebo Samuel, and there's definitely like a hatred there. I mean, Aaron Donald saying like I can't stand those guys. I do not like them. I don't wish them luck at all. Like there's a hate there between the Rams and Niners. And to be fair, when Matthew Stafford plays, they don't lose to the Seahawks. So I guess I don't really hate the Seahawks right now either.
Just wait.
Love it.
All right, let me get to these supers before. Oh, go ahead, Brendan.
No, well, and then just to offer on top of that with Jake to Mike on that. I mean, looking at it's last year, as much as the potential's there on paper with it, and Calais maybe at 40 has still something left in the tank, but it's 4.5 sacks led your team last year.
He was really good last year.
He was but he is also getting really, really old. And I think that even if what he gives you, I don't think he's going to be able to give you anywhere near the snap count he could give you at even, let's say, 32, 33. Moving into next year. Still probably really quality for what he gives you, for the snaps he gives you. But then when you look through the rest of that team, 4.5 sacks led the way for you with last year from a defensive line standpoint. Robinson had 1 sack last year after coming back. Ojulari, I mean, he and his brother can't stay healthy. It's kind of like the Bosa brothers. It's almost like a poor man's Bosa brothers. So it is potential there. It is potential, but it's also like it's potential. It isn't stuff that's been realized on the field back to that point of it. And I think that's where you got to earn that a little bit on that side.
Fair. Appreciate it, guys.
Dave Sims says, "Oh, it's everyone. Love y'all. Fire." Drewish guy says, "What happened to the 4-man front?" We had to move it to next week. Grant had a prior obligation, so we either roll all 4 of us or it doesn't happen. HAV says, "I'm looking forward to watching the Rams beat the Niners with you guys in October." I don't like the comment that you said, but I'm glad that you're coming.
Appreciate you, HAV.
Dave says, "Is it ironic that Walken is a Seahawks fan?" I don't know. Is it, Christopher?
No, it's the best bird by far. Not even close. What? Eagle? Boring. Cardinal? Is that a gizzard? No. Give me the beautiful blue bird in the sky. Thank you.
It's not even a real bird, man.
It's a real bird in my heart.
The rebuttal there with no hesitation.
All right, you had that planned.
James says, "I already know the Cardinals secondary is going to get slept on." Oh, we'll see about that. We'll see. Dave says, "Jake's talking. We'll hear from others in an hour."
They say that, but I'll go silent and listen to you guys quick. Yeah.
He's good. It's succinct.
Yeah. Jesus,
man. Scotty D says, "Which team will have the most sacks, most takeaways?" Most sacks. I think I'm going to go the order that I put it, or that we finished in. I think that's,
I think the Rams too. They put the onus upon rushing the passer. I mean, a lot of times I think when they lose stopping the run, it's also because they're trying to really maximize the pass rush in their approach. So I agree. I think that they are going to get that. I might say I think my Hawks are going to get more turnovers, but I think the Rams will definitely be. They showed last year with those stunts and twists and loops. Man, that's really hard to deal with.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'll say Rams too.
Dave says, Jesse says, Brick throws 25 interceptions and 20 G's. I never once said that. That is all you, brother. Don't put that on me.
Oh, Lord.
Feed me more Seahawks says. So Jesse's more dumb than I thought.
Guys.
Sorry, brother. Listen.
Guys choosing violence today.
I wouldn't expect anything else. I mean, he does it over on the roundtable as well. But yeah, I'm sorry. The Seahawks aren't number one for me. Thomas says, I created a Ram song. Can't get no one to listen to it. I also have a Cowboys one, Them Boys of Disappointment. Nice. I've got to hear these songs.
Yeah,
They might make it to our soundboard if you send it our way.
I'm hearing
You'd be
that
surprised.
title's like, I'm hearing 80s ballad in the back of my head of that other title one that he had. I don't know.
Oh man. All right, Jake, I'm going to start with you on this one. Give me your linebacker rankings in the division.
Yeah, this one was tough for me. So I'm going to go with the Cardinals at 4. And I like the they could have been 2 for me. So I'm gonna go with the Cardinals at 4. This was not easy because I really like Hakeem Davis-Gaither. I really like Cody Simon. And Papo is not bad. I'm gonna take the Rams at 3 just because of like the whole unproven nature. I am really high on Chris Paul Jr. I'm really high on Sean Dolak. I really like the pickup of Nate Landman, and I think Omar Spates is maybe as good as Ernest Jones, and we'll see that this year. But I got to give Seattle number 2 here because Ernest Jones is more proven. And I did actually like what I saw from Tyrese Knight. So they might not have the depth that I want at linebacker, but I like those two. And I'm just going to let the Rams prove themselves. I don't want to be Homer. And then number 1 is, of course, the 49ers. Kind of the same reason here. They have big points when you talk about having the best linebacker in all football in Fred Warner, just in my opinion. So that helps. I also absolutely love D. Winters. I think he's their type of linebacker. I don't think people realize, unless you're a 49er fan, the type of player this guy is and what he's going to do with Robert Saleh. And then I didn't love the Nick Martin move initially, but I actually have kind of grown into that. And again, that's an unproven player? Is that the reason why they're number 1? No, the main reason why they're number 1, and I think this is way closer than people realize, it is because of Fred Warner. But I mean, I wouldn't have any issue with putting the Cardinals ahead of the Rams. I wouldn't have any issue putting the Rams over Seattle. I wouldn't have any issue putting Seattle over the 49ers because people are going to interpret this differently. They're going to look at these rosters differently. I think the Rams are probably the most exciting for the future because they have guys that I really think could end up being something. Like I think Chris Paul Jr. I thought he was a first round talent. So, but some people might not feel that way. And I am really high on Hakeem Davis-Gaither, and I'm not out on him. And I actually think he's about to have a career year in Arizona. I mentioned that to Mike. I told Mike I love that pickup because I didn't think the Bengals used him correctly. But then on the other side of it, you have the Seahawks. And I just think all in all, this is what I came with, but it's really interchangeable. It depends on how much stock you're going to put on the top guys.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Mike, we'll go to you. Defend your Cardinals.
Yeah, let me throw my 2 cents in here. So, I mean, I do agree with the points that Jake was making in terms of like when you look at the linebacking core throughout like the entirety of the NFC West, you have like one guy that really kind of sticks out between like every guy in the team, at least in my opinion. I'm going to go ahead and put it out here. I do say San Francisco 49ers do have the edge, and the main reason is because of Fred Warner. I think he's a fantastic guy in the middle, and I think any of us would want him there. So I would put them at number 1. Then I would be throwing the Seattle Seahawks at number 2. Ernest Jones with the Rams, they no longer wanted him, got picked up by the 49ers. It was a big miss. Ernest Jones is still a really, really good player. So then I got the Seahawks at 2. I'm going to throw the Cardinals at 3. I know there's a lot of unknown with Hakeem Davis-Gaither, but I love Mac Wilson Sr., man. The versatility that he can bring. I know he's more of a will middle linebacker than he is a Mike. I know there might be some moving parts within the defense for the Arizona Cardinals. I do believe it's going to be Hakeem Davis-Gaither going to be that number 1 guy in terms of, I think the guy's going to get in the green dot. We don't 100% know, but that's probably going to be the way it's going to shake out. But I know there's a lot of unknown. I'm leaning onto my homerism here that I have the Cardinals not at the worst, but I got the Rams at number 4.
Wait, if we're including Mac Wilson Sr. and now Baron Browning and all those guys, then we would have a completely different conversation. I might actually have the Cardinals at 1. So we need to make that clear. I'm not hating on the Cardinals. I like what they have. It's just
Mac Wilson Sr. is more of a will. They do use him at edge every once in a while, but he was more used as a middle linebacker than he was on the outside. I'm not sure if they're going to change this time around, but he was used more as a Mike. I'm sorry, Will. I apologize. Will inside linebacker.
Okay, if that's the case, then I'll just leave it exactly how it is.
All right, Brandon, give me your rankings.
I don't want to change anything off of, we don't know for sure. So
yeah.
I would for the most part agree with this. I think when it comes to the starting back to front a little bit with the Rams and the Rams and the Cardinals, I just think that neither of the two inside linebacker positions on either team do I feel great about. And so peeling between the two of them and saying, well, this one's definitely above that one. I don't know. And we come to potential, kind of like what we sort of illustrated last week. We're not going to let potential weight as much in putting these lists together, but in what we've got actuality, because we can all play the potential game for days with our own squads with that. So I think that those two teams are kind of both in a similar place. I think this does come down to Fred Warner being a difference maker and a guy that can go out there and be a complete middle linebacker and has been the best inside linebacker in the sport for the past couple of years. I like Winters, Jesse. I was talking with you about him a couple of years ago when you drafted him, and I've been high on him. I do think that Tyrese Knight is a better player. I think that he's going to be a more complete player. Tyrese Knight had the best will linebacker season for a Seattle Seahawk, even far surpassing KJ Wright's rookie year, going back all the way to 2005, having a will linebacker that played that good in his rookie year. So it's not to understate that he was like a difference maker, but just we haven't had a guy come out that's been able to be that good instantaneously on the football field. That's enough weight for me to put him at least in a number 2. But Fred Warner's just that good. It's kind of like your guys' thing with Kittle last week we were talking about, where it's just, you got to weight that heavily for how good that guy is at the top.
Yeah. So give me your order one last time. You got 49ers, Hawks.
Yeah. And then boy, with Cardinals and Rams, right?
Be careful.
I'll give Cardinals a little more love because I've been hard on them. So we'll give them a little bit of a bump on this one.
Appreciate it.
Okay. I've got it 49ers, Seahawks, Cardinals, and Rams, and that is how we've ranked it as well in division here. So let me add those points up. Okay. Let's go over to corners. Mike, this time I'm going to start with you to kick us off on the rankings. What do you got for the corner room?
Okay. So the corner room is intriguing. I know there's a lot of intrigue with the Arizona Cardinals. I'm not putting them at number 1. I'm not going to be that much homer. I think the best room that I'm seeing right now when I'm looking at the depth chart and just kind of like what they've accomplished so far, I'm going to have to put the Seattle Seahawks at number 1. It pains me, but they have a really good young cornerback core over there with Witherspoon, as well as Woolen. Yeah, they got a lot of people over there. And who was the guy who got that pick 6 on Kyler? And I believe that the second time we played
Kobe Bryant,
right? I'm telling you, man, they got cornerbacks for days. I think they got a really good young defensive core over there that I really do fear. So I'm gonna lean it on over to the Seahawks at number 1. Here's where I get kind of a little sticky here, because I know the Cardinals right now, they don't have a lot of people on paper that are, big names, but I think Garrett Williams is going to be a player that a lot of people are going to really realize who he is. He was ranked like top 5, top 10, in multiple different categories via PFF. And I know PFF isn't God or anything like that, but just kind of is some sort of source. Now, yes, he's more of a nickel cornerback more than anything, but the guys that we ended up bringing back and the guys that we actually had with such a bad defensive line, and, they've held their own with not having that great of a defensive line. I'm curious to see what happens here with the cornerbacks once they do got a revamped defensive line. But Garrett Williams, you also got Starling Thomas V, which has actually been pretty solid. Will Johnson's coming in, most likely going to have a starting position. He's going to go through bumps and bruises, of course, that's what's going to happen. But Max Melton going into his year 2 as well, he kind of got burned a couple times, but that's just what happens. I'm going to have to put the Arizona Cardinals at number 2, and I know I'm already hearing scoffs. Okay. And then I got the 49ers at 3, and then I got the Rams at 4.
All right. Brandon, we'll go back to you. What's the order that you've got here?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say I do have Seattle as the number 1 team. Reek Witherspoon's got 11 picks through 3 years, and he's a really good fit for this defense. He's going into a contract year. He's come forward as a tackler, as a run defender. I think that he's, at least as the number 2 corner on this team, better than any another number 2 corner in this division. Witherspoon is a dog, and it's a guy that you have to watch the tape of. And I've been tearing through all 22 from the past year here, working on some daily shows. He's
the best corner in the division. I
mean,
for those that disagree with that, then you need to watch more, because Witherspoon is the best corner in the division. I think when it comes
Lenore
to
would disagree
versatility,
with that.
that's fine. I think he's a top 5, top 7 corner in this league. I really think he's that good.
I do as well. And he's going to, I think, finally get some of the statistical points this year to have the markers, 4 or 5 picks to make people realize that. That's what they tend to need with the cornerbacks. And if you don't have that, you don't realize it. So I have them pretty solidly in the spot. Even Job came in last year and played pretty good for us out the gate in that other cornerback spot, which fills in the room pretty nice. But the top 2 guys to me are just kind of heavier on this one than anything else. My next 2 guys, I do have the Niners in there. And I think this is as much because I like Ricardo Green as much as anything else as far as the upside of him. Lenore is a good player. He's solidified. He's a really good corner in this league. And I'm a little worried they're going to try to move outside a bit too much here this year, maybe Jesse, rather than, letting him operate where he's best the upcoming season. The Cardinals are right there with it though, Mike. And you're right about that. It is a little bit back to a bit of the defensive line thing because Melton's kind of the key there on making that thing really go and flow at that point, especially with you guys losing your corner for the season as you now have, because you don't know what you got with Johnson as well. You have both in Melton and with Johnson kind of 2 big question marks. You are absolutely right about your slot. He is not that far off of Witherspoon as far as being his productivity. I just think Witherspoon is just a monster all the way around, whereas he's really good coverman from the slot. But you're right about don't undersell him. Your guys' slot there. I just don't think you've got as much strength on the outside, which is why I put the Niners just a little bit ahead on that end of it. And I know Jake loves himself his cornerbacks. Jake, I'm sorry to throw shade at you with it, but I just don't trust or have faith in. There's a reason that they've been looking at Ramsey and kicking the tires in that. I think that they may be saying like, no, we're fine with it. We're fine with it. If they don't go for Ramsey, mark my words, they will make another move to reinforce that cornerback room. And they'll do so in more than just a minor way. They ain't going to go just for the slim reaper. They're going to go for a big reaper if they go and do that.
Jake, give me your rankings, brother.
Yeah, I think you guys are totally off on kind of like the running back too. I think you guys are just wrong, honestly. Not even an opinion. You're just wrong. Look, the Rams have the best cornerback room. You could say, and I have no issue if you want to say that. No, they absolutely do. And hear me out when I say this. So when you look at Seattle, I can understand if you think, Seattle has better starters. It's close enough in proximity. I mean, we're talking about Kello Witherspoon. We're talking about Darius Williams, a proven, Seattle saw him, right, in the playoffs. He's a proven player, and Kobe Durant is a really good player, underrated, was really stout down the stretch. These guys shut down A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jordan Addison, and Justin Jefferson in the playoffs, and, well, none of the other cornerbacks had a chance to do that because they didn't make it. So these guys stepped up in the big time. And my biggest thing is when you look at the cornerback rooms, right? I think I have Seattle number 2. I think Seattle, you could argue, have better starters, but I think the Rams have the best cornerback room easily. They have Akello, Darius, they have Kobe, and then you have Darion Kendrick, who started 18 games for this team. They have Emmanuel Forbes Jr. They have AJ Green III. They have Josh Wallace. They have these guys that probably nobody has heard of, but I actually think they're very deep. And then they might get Jalen Ramsey, but that doesn't factor into my score. I don't think they need Jalen Ramsey. I don't. I want Jalen Ramsey, and they don't even think they need Jalen Ramsey. The whole point about Jalen Ramsey, it's very simple. He wants to come back to the Rams. He's wanted to for a bit now, and the Rams would love to have him back. But the Rams, they really like what they have. And I just think people are sleeping on it. Maybe they didn't watch the playoffs, but these guys shut those top receivers down when it mattered the most. And I think the 2 best corners in this division are both named Witherspoon. And we're going to see that this year. People laugh, but when Akello Witherspoon got a full off season of work and was able to go through training camp and everything, PFF had him in the top 10 for corners when he was on the Steelers. This is his first year since being with Pittsburgh that he has a full training camp. Darius Williams has been one of the better corners over the last 5 years. So yeah, I have the Rams 1. I have Seattle 2. I think Seattle has a really good looking group. I think, Josh Job's kind of underrated. Devin Witherspoon, you could argue, is, like you said, top 7 in the league. And he's just a completely different corner. He's not just like a cover guy. He's not just a lockdown, shutdown guy. This is somebody that, can really go up and make a tackle. He plays with a physicality that you just normally don't see cornerbacks play with nowadays coming out of college. It's why he was, I think, my number 2 prospect in that draft, maybe number 1. Absolutely loved his talent. And then, you have Reek Woolen. Let's not forget at one point or another, there were rumors floating around about trading him away. But he had a good year last year, and he is a good corner. But I look at Nehemiah Pritchett, and after that, I don't really see, Damarian Williams, but I don't really see a ton of depth at corner for Seattle that I feel great about, right? So I like the Rams depth there. So I want the Rams, Seahawks 2. Then I have the 49ers 3. I think that the 49ers, what? Hold on, what? Anyway,
I think he might be confusing me with somebody else. I don't know. I very rarely hear that one. Check in with my fan base; they will heavily disagree with you.
I found that out pretty quickly on Twitter. But anyway, I think Lenore's good. I have question marks about Renardo Green. Trey Brown. Like I don't love this group. But Lenore is probably number 3 or number 4 corner in this division. So I went with them. And then Arizona, I have them at 4. And honestly, I'm going to do something I never do here. I'm going to switch it right now because I actually don't like the 49er group that much like I thought I did. So Arizona is going to be 3 for me. I love Garrett Williams.
There you go, Mike.
I love Garrett Williams. I'm sorry. I think Garrett Williams is a stud. If he didn't, suffer a season-ending injury at the end of his Syracuse tenure, he goes probably in the first round. Absolute talent. Will Johnson, I kind of told you how I felt about that. I felt like he went where he was supposed to go. That doesn't mean having a second-round cornerback is bad at any stretch. But I really like Max Melton. I like Denzel Burke. I like some of the things they definitely they did. So I have Arizona here at number 3 and the 49ers at 4.
Interesting. Okay. Well, Jake, putting the 49ers at 4 actually caused a tie at number 2 between the 49ers and the Cardinals. I've got it Seahawks, 49ers, Cardinals, Rams. Again, I just think Seattle has that tandem is incredible. The 49ers I do have number 2 because, I said that I think Witherspoon is the number 1 corner in the division. I believe that Lenore is number 2. And Renardo Green played even arguably statistically better than he did last year, which is crazy to say. The Cardinals have a lot of good depth, a lot of good young players. I do think, a lot of people are laughing because you said the Rams are number 1. I think that's a little out there, but I will say this, the Rams corners are actually really good. Like that room is a very, very good room. I don't think, and I think if I'm going depth, just pure depth, they are number 2 for me. But I just think that top end talent for some of these other teams is a little bit higher. But overall, this is, I'll switch this just for the optics.
One thing I want to mention too about the Rams, Mike, that we're not talking about with that corner room. And one thing, Jake, that I think that to pay attention to really closely this year, because I think it's going to be a troublesome part, is the tackling does matter for cornerbacks, and you have to do that. And one of the reasons that Khalil Witherspoon, and Jesse can back me up, is this is a former Niner and a former Seahawk. The reason that, at least for 5 minutes, he was a Seahawk. The reason that he has been passed around on that is that tackling. And even that breakout year from 4 years you could point to of his Steeler year 4 years ago that he had, where he was so good in coverage, again, still negatively graded as a tackler that year. Slim Reaper ain't a guy that wants to do a lot of tackling. Darius Williams, okay as a tackler. With already a defense that's a little susceptible to having the run go after them. And when you talk about playoffs, you're going to tend to try to run the ball more, and you're going to try to tend to lean. Teams are really going to go after that kind of weakness on your team this year. And maybe you guys can stuff it up. But when I look at the roster, there are some holes there at the cornerback room when it comes to just grade A pure tacklers. And if I can isolate that as an OC this year, I'm going to do so a lot.
I think that's definitely fair. There's a lot of ankle biters in this cornerback room. That's actually my biggest issue with them. I'm glad you didn't go in the direction of saying the defensive line, because I would have shut you down in 2 seconds watching that Vikings game in the playoffs. I've heard it over and over again, how this cornerback room is only as good as the defensive line. I will tell you right now, we all watched Sam Darnold hold on the ball forever. I mean, the Vikings announcer was like, throw the damn ball. Like, I mean, you guys heard that, right? I always say cornerback is such a thankless job. I was in the freezing cold at the Jets game, and I remember watching Akello shut down Devontae Adams, just had him completely locked down, and Aaron Rodgers did not trust a soul outside of Devontae Adams, and he held on the ball forever because Akello was all over him, and that forced the strip sack that Cam Curl had, and it's like those moments. You look at the Jared Verse, like one of the Jared Verse sacks. You look at the Braden Fisk sack. the different sacks they had against the Vikings, I'm not trying to take anything away from what I believe is the best defense, defensive line in this division. But this secondary, there is a seriously underrated veil over this secondary. People do not talk about how long they have to cover these guys. Verse even said himself, he missed 10 sacks this year on the field. The tape shows that. So I think this, like, people are laughing, especially the Niner fans, after Akello shut down your boy who you drafted in the first round. Laugh all you want, but he just got a full training camp. You do not want to see this guy later on in the season. I'm telling you right now. And if they get Jalen Ramsey, you really don't want to see this secondary.
And I think that's what's contingent on. To me, I mean, sorry, I apologize, Jesse. I think it is.
Go.
If it is Jalen Ramsey, like you will have a really good cornerback. More, I mean, that's the thing too. Like we all have really good cornerbacks. Like this, like obviously the NFL, these are top tier athletes on there. But to say like Rams are one to me, and kind of discrediting what Seattle's doing. I'm not even saying the Cardinals, but Seattle, like they got a young, talented group on over there is absolutely crazy. Seattle is definitely number one. Now, whoever the pecking order goes after that. I love this list and the way it looks right now, but that's just because of my own homerism going on right now. But man, I don't know. To your point, I mean, I hope nothing but the best for you, but yeah, no, corner Rams are definitely.
I went the quiet route in the last, so I got a little shit from the Rams fans. Like, you need to speak up a little bit more about Kyron, who's clearly the best running back today. That because we don't know what Christian McCaffrey will be today in the division. So I went quiet there, but I was like, don't worry, I'll save some fire, and I felt like cornerback was the one to go. So there we go. The fire has been unleashed.
We're going to get to safeties here in a second, but first I'm going to get through these supers real quick. Brock is the worst quarterback in franchise history. Jeez, that doesn't make any
you guys
sense.
had Tim Rattay.
Yeah, Drunken Miller.
Tim Rattay, all right?
Yeah, what about Drunken Miller?
Gosh.
Oh, man.
Dave Sims says, I made a Niner song called Lyle Chokes on Pig. All right, jeez.
Oh, Jesus.
The coach, what's up, coach? Says,
coach?
Let's get it.
What up?
What's up?
Dave says, Brandon plus Coke, Jake plus drinks, Mike plus method, Jesse plus Jesus.
Dang.
Wow, I got out of that one real smooth. I like it. Thanks. CD Woods says, least laughable ram steak. All right.
I think that's
I don't know.
Good?
Remember what that was referring to.
I don't know. Good for you.
Yeah.
Scotty
I think
says,
it's good. I don't know.
Yeah.
Scotty says, Coward said the Rams spend the least on defense in all the NFL. Is that true? If so, how can their cap space be 30 million less than San Francisco, 20 million less than Seattle, and 10 million less than the Cards? Offense. They're spending a lot of money on that offense. I mean, you get a lot of money tied up over there. So I don't know about the least in the NFL, but they're definitely down there. I mean, most of their talent is first and second year talent. It is. So
mine too, if I'm not mistaken, last year, to give them some credit on this, Jake, you can fix me on this one up or not. You had to deal with the Aaron Donald dead money. I mean, even today, this year, you still got 10 million on the books. So
don't remind me.
We factored that what they're spending on their defense, because you got to put that on top of whatever else you're putting on there.
Yeah. I got so much hate for bringing that up. Like, every time, be like, Aaron Donald bled for this. I'm not saying he didn't, but the reality is that, like you said, they have about $10 million in Aaron Donald that's not there. So
it was like, well, last year was what, 25? Wasn't it pretty substantial last year when he retired in the first year?
Yeah. It kind of held them back from doing some things that they wanted to do. I know that for a fact. So,
Let's go me.
50.
Let's do it.
But he didn't have a full camp. LMFAO. I think, you know what? I will say this. It is interesting because Akello Witherspoon has spent a little bit of time with Seattle, obviously more time with the 49ers. I feel like both fan bases really underrate Akello. I don't know. I have watched Akello since he's left the 49ers and obviously the short stint with Seattle. He's been nothing but a really good coverage corner. Now, the tackling thing is real, and that is part of the game. But as far as just pure coverage, he guards the number one wide receivers and holds his own game in and game out. I mean, he's just been very, very good as a coverage corner. It is what it is.
And
not only that, he's like somehow they keep getting away with paying him league minimum. And then when he gets cut, nobody else wants him. It doesn't make any sense to me. You put the film on, that dude does nothing but cover.
This is why I'm so loud about him, Jesse. So I appreciate you saying that. It's ridiculous, and people be like, oh, it's just because you know him and that's why. It's like, no, I've actually liked this guy. I have I literally have a TikTok where I made fun of Seattle for moving on from him for Trey Flowers, who I thought was the worst cornerback I've ever watched in my life. I could not believe for the life of me they kept Trey Flowers and traded away Akello. And sure enough, and keep in mind, I had no connection to his family. Didn't know that. I just always kind of liked his game from Colorado. And when he went to the Steelers, instantaneously, he was better than anything they had since like what? Ike Taylor, Ryan Clark type, like DB. Like I'm just saying, like he's really, like Jesse is saying, he's a really good corner. And I know people are laughing, but you give him an actual off season, which this is his first one in years. I'm telling you, he is going to. I don't know why we're sleeping on a 6'4" guy that runs a 4.3. It's not like he's a 5'7" corner. I'm telling. So I don't know why I have to defend this guy. I mean, he looks the part too, but yeah.
Coach says Jesse isn't negative. Think of him as an American dad of the Niners. Serious concern, disappointed, unimpressed, all at once. But he's gotta own his kid with the nose piercing and the purple hair. That's right. That's a very good analogy. I like
That's
it.
deep, man. That's
good. That is good. Well thought out. Well thought out. All right, safeties. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna quickly throw my rankings up, and let's see. I've got the Cardinals number 1. I mean, you got Budda Baker. It's an automatic win. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go Seahawks 2, Rams 3, 49ers 4. Listen, I love I'll call them the Cam brothers over with the Rams. But they're still young, but they're very bright future over there is the way that I see it. But a little bit young. I like what Seattle has, a little bit more veteran leadership over there. The Cardinals, again, you got Budda Baker, and the 49ers. I don't know with Malik Mustafa out if we've got a true starting safety on this team. Like, I genuinely don't know. So to me, the 49ers are last. If anybody wants to debate that, go ahead. But the 49ers, there's just no saving them when it comes to the safety room. Jake, we'll work back to Brandon. I'll let you go first after me here. How do you have this ranking?
Yeah, I have the 49ers last. Jason Pinnock is probably the only guy I feel like I trust, only because of his familiarity with Robert Saleh. A lot of people don't realize that. Was with the Jets. They liked him a lot, but there's not really anything there to feel good about. So I agree with you. And it's really frustrating because I'm a big fan of Malik Mustafa. Actually interviewed him, and he's a great player, and the injury just sucks. But yeah, they're 4 for me. Number 3 is Seattle. I do like what Seattle has with Kobe Bryant and Julian Love and Eamon Worry, but I obviously we're not calling Devin Witherspoon part of that safety tandem, right? Because, just because he's a nickel or whatever. I know some people do that. I'm not doing that. So I like what they have there. I just think after those 3, I'm not like going crazy for like a Jarek Reed or DeAnthony Bell or AJ Finley. So for that reason, I have them at 3. Number 2, I have the Arizona Cardinals. I really like what they have. I've been a huge fan of Jalen Thompson since he came out of the supplemental draft. I still think that was one of the best picks that a team has made. Really underrated. And then obviously Budda Baker's a big name. Taylor Demerson's a guy I like. I think Keaton Crawford is an absolute stud, and people are going to see it. And so I actually really like that room. But my number 1 safety room is the Rams, because you talk about the Cam brothers, Cameron Kitchens and Cam Curl. First off, Kitchens is exactly what you want in a ball hawk. So he's somebody, obviously I don't have to tell Brandon, he saw the interception, but this is somebody that can just absolutely break open a game at any time. And so he coincides well with Cameron Curl, who is kind of that hard hitting safety that you can blitz and you can do different things with. But then you have Quentin Lake, and Quentin Lake is also a really good safety as well. They're also really high on Jalen McCullough, who he had a great year. He had like 4 or 5 interceptions last year, the UDFA out of Tennessee. So I actually really like the safety room for the Rams. They might sign John Johnson again. I don't know if that ends up happening or not, but I did hear that is a possibility. Obviously, that would really put them over the top as far as depth. But they have guys that I like, a Tanner Ingle and Jalen McCullough. I don't know if Ingle makes the roster, but the point being is they got 4 guys that I think that just makes them really, really deep. And I would say that probably the best safety in this division is Budda Baker, and you could argue the best safety is after that is Jalen Thompson, but I think the Rams have 3 genuine starters, and you could argue Jalen McCullough is a starter caliber player. So that's where I'm at. Eamon Worry could make me look like an absolute fool. I don't think he's going to bust. It's just more so when I look at this player, I think, it's kind of like what we've been talking about. There's just not really any of these rookies. You can get excited about them, but they shouldn't be a reason a team is in first or second or third, even though I already broke that rule with Gray Zabel. But that's how I feel. So,
Mike, go ahead and give me your rankings, bro.
Yeah, let me tell you why you're wrong. Okay. No, so
yes, Mike, do it. Violence.
What Jesse has on here is, I feel like, flawless. This list that we're saying, Cardinals, Seahawks, Rams, and 49ers, just to kind of double down on the Arizona Cardinals situation. Yeah, Budda Baker, the best safety in the whole NFC West. And I guess it could be debatable for some people, but for Cardinal fans, and I guess most of the people in the NFC West, they see him as that bona fide starter that anybody would want back there to have that, safety blanket that can blitz, that can do all of the stuff. At one point, he was leading it, the NFL in tackles. Like that's how dynamic this guy is. And he wants to win. Like, he's the type of player you want on your defense. So Budda Baker up there. Jalen Thompson, you're 100% right. Out of the supplemental draft, that was an absolute gem. Steve Kine was a terrible drafter, but for some reason he ended up getting Jalen Thompson. But Dadrian Taylor Demerson had an opportunity to step in when Jalen Thompson did have some injuries, and he was as physical, and he looked really, really good when given the opportunity. So I honestly can sit here and say that we might have 3 starting safeties in the NFL. Now, I know Jalen Thompson, there's some fans out there saying, oh, release him or cut him so we can save some cap. Nah, I'm not one of those guys. I like the depth that we have here, because you never know, right? Budda's getting older. Jalen's getting older as well. Dadrian Taylor Demerson's going to be a name you are going to be hearing, maybe not this year, but for years to come. I do believe strongly in what he can become. Dadrian Taylor Demerson, aka Rabbit. And then you are right in Crawford as well, a late round pick for the Arizona Cardinals, going to mainly be used as a special teams guy, but I know the Cardinals are going to do everything in their power to try to keep him in the 53-man roster, maybe a safety of the future. We don't know, but I got the Cardinals at number 1. I got the Seahawks at number 2, just with the current guys they got, as well as their was a second round pick that they ended up getting as well. A lot of potential there as well, but arguably one of the best safeties in the draft. So I got them at number 2. Then I got the Rams there, and then I got the 49ers, which that whole defense I feel like has been depleted. So I got the 49ers at the end.
All right. And Brandon, what do you got?
Yeah, I definitely think we're all in agreement with the Niners being at the end. Malik Mustafa's injuries is tough, and Jair Brown just hasn't come forward like I thought he would coming out. I think that this is one where it gets hard on the depth versus the front line. So I think when it comes to both the Cardinals and the Rams, I'd say sure, the depth is better with those two versus the Seahawks, but I think I would quibble when we come to the starter aspect being better than what we have at the front. Budda Baker is a star. I think he is starting to get a little older. I think every time I watch him, he's shaking off some injury or limping left or right somehow or another. And I worry about that as far as going forward with that. Thompson's solid, and these guys are all good. It's not in Rams the same way. But when I look at Julian Love last year, a top 7 graded season by PFF, and when I turn on the tape with him every week, he is all over the place.
Stud.
He's making plays in coverage. He's getting interceptions. He's a factor in the run game. He's forcing fumbles, and he's doing it on a weekly basis on top of being a leader in that secondary. So what I really like about this safety room as much as anything else, because Kobe Bryant himself ascended in the same way. Started out as an outside corner and has eventually transitioned to safety. Last year, finally got implemented in the starting lineup. Should have had 5 interceptions, ended up with 3, but the guy's got a nose for the ball. And this is where I think you'll see my 2 points for why they'll separate themselves from the other safeties in this division, taking away the ball. These 2 guys at the end of the year will be responsible for probably together about 12, 13 turnovers by the end of the season, from forced fumbles to interceptions. Kobe Bryant's got that Peanut Tillman punch. And again, in Bryant, this is a guy that's higher graded than any of your guys you had on the Rams, and except for Budda Baker, higher than anybody else on the Cardinals or the 49ers. So another guy that was well graded all the way around as a player, where there's not a hole in his game. Like you mentioned the Cameron Kitchens play in the red zone. It's a good play, Jake, but Geno Smith threw that back across his body late into the middle of the field, which is a cardinal sin for a quarterback. That's not him making necessarily some fantastic play. That's a bad decision by Geno Smith there.
I mean,
I love Cameron.
Play.
Well, no, but I mean, that's the one you just referenced, though. And you referenced it like he jumped the route and did a Dion move to go back. That's Geno crapping the bed on that play 100%. And Geno had a lot of red zone interceptions last year where he crapped the bed. That's just kind of a new thing that popped up with him last year. I love Cameron. Don't get me wrong. I had Ed Reed comps to him coming out. Not that he was going to become Ed Reed, but that you'd get a lot of Ed Reed's game to him. I just don't think he's ascended quite into that place of things. Really good, and I think he's on the come. But these two guys, I think, are going to be the best tandem in this division, and I'm going to weight it a little bit heavier to the starters rather than to the depth on this one for me. So I do have Seattle number one. I do have the Niners at the back end, and then it's kind of a coin flip between me and the Rams and the Cardinals. I'll probably put the Rams in at 2 and the Cardinals at 3, but it's very hard between the two because they both have solidity at the front line and they both have depth. So it gets really tough between those two for me.
All right, so we've got the safety. We've got the Cardinals, the Seahawks, the Rams, and the 49ers. It stayed exactly the same. Okay, let me add these up real quick. We've got the Cardinals with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 for the Cards. And then we've got Rams. We've got 3, 7, 11, and 12. And then we've got the 49ers at 4. This is great podcasting. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Wow. And then we've got the Hawks at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wow. Believe it or not, here's what the numbers say. We did this last week and we made our tweaks, but I'm just going to strictly go off of what the numbers say and then allow you guys to rebuttal. Interesting, right?
Right.
And then we've got the 49ers and the Rams. I don't know how much I agree with this here,
it's so
but
funny
you know, I will say
nailed it.
All right. Yeah, nailed it. Golly, me personally, I would probably go Seahawks, Rams, Cardinals, 49ers, maybe. But yeah, I don't know that I would have the Rams last. Either way, Brandon, what rankings would you have overall?
We're in agreement, Jesse. There, I would go Seahawks, Rams, Cardinals, Niners would be my my order there.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't hate this list. I think this list is actually pretty darn fantastic. I can be real here. No, but obviously, I think the Seahawks have a lot of proven. Like they got a lot of young, talented, great players over there.
Yeah.
And the Cardinals fans, we know that. Like we've had a heck of a last 2 games with them as well. So I like them at number 1. Cardinals, it can be kind of a toss up between us and the Rams because I feel like when you're looking at specific positions, you take the Rams over the Cardinals in specific positions, or or vice versa. So it can kind of go either or. But yeah, I do think that the 49ers are definitely, they just lost so much talent. Nick Bosa is really the and Fred Warner are kind of the and Lenore, like the only kind of big names that I'm like, oh yeah, I feel confident. But other than that, they do deserve to be at the end. But I'm cool with this list one at the 2 spot.
Okay. And then Jake, I'm sure you've got the Rams number 1.
Yeah, I mean, they were the hottest defense at the end of last year. I think, what was it? They were 1 sack away from breaking the record in 2 games in the playoffs. Yeah, they got Jared Verse. I already went through everybody, but the point being is that the Rams are not the worst defense in this division. I can listen to an argument for the Seahawks. I still think the Rams are the better defense. Seattle has the better defensive mind, I will say. I like Chris Shula, but I mean, I'm a big fan, and Jesse and I warned everybody about this, that McDonald going to Seattle was going to be a problem, because it is. So I have them at 2, Arizona at 3, and San Francisco at 4. And the reason why I decided to go with Arizona is because I actually have more I have a first place vote for Arizona, or first place vote for the 49ers at linebacker. But I just feel like I'm getting more of I can trust Arizona 49ers are dealing with injuries. 49ers are dealing with just moving on from guys like a Dre Greenlaw, for instance. So I like some of the things that they did, but as far as proven talent, I would probably go with, I'd probably go with the Cardinals here and then the 49ers last. But I mean, the 49ers, we all know, I mean, with Robert Saleh, they could turn their defense around very quickly. So that's just how I have it. But yeah, my takeaway is I'm blown away, but I'm happy with how slept on the Rams are. I was looking at the comments section saying how I'm never right, but I told you at 1-4 that they would win the division, and I was right. So again, I will be right once again when the Rams are the best defense and they have the best offense. And that cornerback room is going to blow your mind. So, or it won't.
Just don't ask him to tackle.
It won't.
Or it won't because you won't watch the Rams outside of the team that you like. So that's just the reality of it.
Scotty says, what's the point of the exercise if you're going to ignore the number? Because the exercise, when we do a point system like that, assumes that everything has an even weight. And we all know that D-line and corners is more important than linebackers and safeties. It just is. And so, a number 4 ranking for the 49ers at D-line and a 3 at corners, it should be weighted heavier than a number 1 at linebacker because those positions are more important. Just like when we're up here and we're talking quarterbacks and tight ends, like quarterback is more important than tight end. So it's, you can't just go based off of the raw numbers because again, that assumes that they're all weighted equally. And we know that that's not the case because I don't know, football. Okay. 49ers here. No, I'm just kidding. Here's how I ranked it. You guys tell me what your guys' thoughts are. And I'll tell you, McVay to me is the second best head coach in the NFL. I think Shanahan's, top 7. Those two are 1 and 2 in my opinion. This one's tough. I can go either way. Yeah. The reason I went with the Cardinals though is because we just have a little bit more experience in Gannon than we do with McDonald. I like both of them, and I will say that I liked at the time of the hire. I certainly liked the McDonald hire a lot more than I did Gannon. But we're talking about 2 young defensive minds. One has 2 years experience. One has 1. Neither have made the playoffs. You can go either way for me. So, Brandon, I'll ask you, what's your opinion on the head coaches here?
I think it's very easy, like you say, at the front to delineate the Rams to the Niners. McVay's gone out there and won a championship. That's the equalizer right there. And Shanahan's gone to a bunch. He just can't get over the hilltop. So you don't have that with the other 2 coaches. That makes it very simple. McDonald came in as the first-time head coach in a situation that wasn't easy, inheriting all of this personnel that didn't fit to his defensive scheme really, purely, necessarily. And he made it work, got to 10 wins in his first year as a head coach. So he's surpassed whatever. You mentioned with Gannon having experience. Gannon's there for 2 years and hasn't gotten to 10 wins in either of those 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. So McDonald did in his first year. I think you got to kind of give the nod to McDonald on that, especially being a first-time coach and the youngest coach in the NFL. His arrows are going nothing but up at this point, in my opinion. So I would go that route with it pretty succinctly. I do like Gannon, so I'm not a hater on Gannon, and he's surprised me like Jesse, Mike. I think he's doing a really good job there. He also maybe didn't inherit as much talent to a degree as Mike did. But again, Mike inherited talent going from one scheme that's way over here to a scheme that's going way over here, and he made that S work. So I think that's kind of a big deal for him to come in and do that as a first-time coach.
I think you can make an argument either way for those guys. Yeah. I will say, they both, I think, have screwed up on their offensive coordinator hires, at least the first time around. We'll see how it goes this time around with McDonald.
But that's even real quick on that, there's a reason for ours that we messed up the first one, because you had to wait to hire McDonald because he was winning in Baltimore and you couldn't interview the guy. And by the time you had to interview him and got him the job, all the OCs were off the board that you could have hired that would have been the good. Like they wanted to bring Arthur Smith in, but Arthur didn't want to wait for the process to play out. So you could have gotten a lot better of a hire in a different direction if you waited for the right coach. And that's why you got that OC hire wrong.
That's fair. Mike, I'm assuming you probably have it the same order I do.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I'm probably gonna have people, mention, oh, how come you don't stick up for Gannon? I mean, let's be real here, guys.
How are
Like,
you supposed
let's
to
be
put him
real.
above?
Yeah, exactly. Like, let's be real. It's Sean McVay is the number one guy. Like, he's proven it. He's had so much success there. Kyle Shanahan, and I'm seeing some comments on here saying Shanahan is last because he's a Super Bowl choker 3 times. It has nothing to do with it. Everybody would take Shanahan in a heartbeat. Like, let's call it this. Has he not gone over the hill and get the hardware that everybody wants? Of course, but he still gets a lot of success. He gets his teams prepared and gets them to the where they don't get to. So, McVay, Shanahan, and it can be a toss-up. That's a very good point with the first year in 10 wins. But I do believe that when the Cardinals had Gannon come in here, they stripped this bad boy down. Like, they even released freaking D-Hop. They ended up trading away Simmons for a bag of peanuts. And I get it. He probably shouldn't have been the first round pick for the Cardinals, but he didn't really have a lot to work with. Year 2 with Kyler, I don't think that's really a reflection of what Gannon did. I think Gannon completely overhauled this organization and is doing what he could with what he was provided. Like, we had so much terrible yuckiness within this organization with Keim and Cliff Kingsbury. Not because Cliff Kingsbury is a bad guy, it's just he wasn't able to handle all the internal jargon, or all the internal stuff that can kind of disappoint a lot of grown ass men when things don't go right. Gannon is that guy that's going to be able to do that. So it is kind of a toss up for me, like 3 and 4. It's if I put McDonald at 4, it's no disrespect. It's just because I believe in my guy, right? So I'm gonna go with this ranking here, but I wouldn't be surprised if Gannon's gonna land at number 4 by the time this ranking's done. But I'll keep it just like you have it, Jesse.
Hey, Jake, how many times has the Rams missed the playoffs since McVay's taken over?
Twice.
So they both took over in 2017. They've missed the playoffs twice. The 49ers have missed the playoffs 4 times. They've played each other once in the playoffs. The Rams won, and the Rams have a Super Bowl. No, McVay's had more collective success than Kyle. I don't listen. No.
And now the monkey is off the back. So now McVay can beat Kyle Shanahan. Now, like, that whole streak is done.
Again, one has made the playoffs more. One has hardware, and then the other one is Andy's also won head-to-head in the NFC Championship. So, no, I'm sorry.
Quick question for you, Jesse, because you did have the rankings initially on this. So if the Niners filed Lyle tomorrow, and you just had the choice between Gannon and McDonald, you'd take Gannon.
I personally would go McDonald. I like McDonald more, but there's no proof yet. You know what I mean? It's just like, I love Ben Johnson. I think Ben Johnson's awesome, but if I'm doing a rankings, I have no proof that he's good. It's just, I like him. I think he can be good. Schematically, I love what McDonald does, but I will say one thing I like about Gannon is that he, and I was not, when Gannon got hired, I thought it was laughable. I really did, but he's kind of worn on me a little bit. I do like CEO head coaches, and he has kind of gone that route. He's hired a defensive coordinator. He's talked about that defensive coordinator like he's way better than he ever was. I love his leadership style. So I personally would go McDonald, but that's just a preference. I don't have anything to back that up to say that he's better. I just, that's just a personal preference. Jake?
Yeah. So obviously we have the 1-2 that's interchangeable, but I have McDonald 3 and Gannon 4. I like both coaches, but here's why I'll tell you about McDonald. I'm not calling him the next Sean McVay. So understand where I'm going when I say this. Sean McVay in 2017 was already better than Bruce Arians, in my opinion. Okay. He wasn't better than Pete Carroll, but he was better than Bruce Arians, and he was better than Kyle Shanahan. My point here is that McDonald has already proven, in my mind, he is in fact better than Gannon. He already won 10 games. Gannon's won 12. So I think we got to give this guy credit. I mean, he's done an incredible job, and he came in when Seattle was like a 7-10 team, and he turned them into a 10-7 team, and they had a shot to go to the playoffs. And I think Gannon is good. I think there are 4 really good coaches right now, in this division. But I think McDonald has a chance to be better than Kyle Shanahan. Now, I don't know if that will end up happening for sure, but I told you, McDonald he scares me because he's got a plan and he knows what he's doing. And to the point of Brandon, he didn't really get a chance to hire the guy that he wanted to. So I'm very interested in what he's going to do this year with the guy he hired, whose name is totally escaping me from.
Kubiak.
Cool. Thank you. Clint Kubiak. So yeah, I think that's how I would look at it. I think that's how you have to look at it because yes, we can do the whole like experience thing, but like if I needed to win a game, who am I choosing, Gannon or am I choosing McDonald? I'm choosing McDonald right now. And that's how I think I can determine that. People might not agree, but personally tomorrow, if I needed a win, I'd go with McDonald over Gannon.
And what did you say about Arians, Jake?
Sean McVay in 2017 was better than Bruce Arians.
And that's when Bruce Arians. You're talking about wait, it's 2017. That's not the Cards, is it? Let me double check.
Yeah. He was on the Cards. I wanted to make like a fair comparison. So like
he's right in this take.
I didn't necessarily. I mean,
wait. You're saying in that first year he was better than Arians?
I'm saying already from what we saw, McVay was a better head coach than Bruce Arians. Right then and there.
And how long has he been a head coach at that point? McVay, was that his first year?
That was his first year. But that's what I'm saying is I think McDonald right away is already better than Gannon. But I think Gannon's good. Just like I think Bruce Arians is a really good coach.
Right.
But like I wouldn't have taken Sean McVay over Pete Carroll because Pete Carroll had all that success. He won a Super Bowl. You know, I wouldn't do that. But I think in that moment, I think he was better than Arians the moment he broke into the league. And I think he proved that. So that's kind of how I decided to do it because I was like, we could do the experience card, but if I already know that this guy is in fact better right now, and that's who I'm getting right now, I'm going to take that guy.
So here's the thing. I don't have an issue with like Gannon at number 4. I get it. 10 wins in the first year, but yeah, the Bruce Arians thing, I think that's the best head coach the Arizona Cardinals have had ever. And I don't think in 2017 we could have said that. Now, okay, I can see where you're coming from, but like, yeah, that's crazy.
It's not exactly a rich history of great.
Sean McVay won 11 games that year with a team that went 4-12 the year prior with almost the same exact team. Yeah, you know, you had different guys. Cooper.
But you could say the same thing for the Arizona Cardinals in 2012. Bruce Arians came in and had 10 wins from the jump, then 11 wins, then 13 wins. And then, of course, Steve Keim kind of did his thing and he got booted out. He faked retirement. 1 year later, he went back to the Bucks and won a Super Bowl with, yes, obviously Tom Brady. But Bruce Arians has accomplished a lot in this. I
know. I think he's a great coach. But when I first saw Sean McVay, I was like, I just watched one presser of him with the at the time Washington Redskins, and I knew he was going to be different. And then I watched him, and I'm like, yeah, first game was at 44-6 against the Colts. You knew right away you had something special in him. And I mean, at the end of the year, like when everything is all figured out, I think at that point in time, Bruce Arians wasn't as good of a coach as Sean McVay. That's how I feel. And I feel like McDonald is a better coach than Gannon already. Now that could change. Just like if Sean McVay didn't go to a Super Bowl, the year after and he was horrible, then it's like, all right, well, Arians proved way more. But like if McDonald comes out this year and looks terrible and Gannon looks good, okay. But as it stands right now, because that's all the conversation is, what are they right now? That's how we're ranking them preseason. What are they right now? I think McDonald's better.
Yeah, I think it's a toss up. They ended up as a tie at third, basically, because you and I, Mike, went with
Gannon.
Went with Gannon.
Cardinals.
So there we go. All right. Scotty says, which NFC West player has the best chance to be Defensive Player of the Year? God, there's a lot of really, really good candidates. I'm gonna go Fred Warner just because linebacker is tough. It is. I think they're at a disadvantage when it comes to DPOY. But when you add in the fact that Salah's back and he's going to put so much on the shoulders of Fred Warner, I think that he's got a really good chance. But Bosa's already got one. We've got Verse. Witherspoon. There's a lot of good players. I mean, we went through it. This is a good defensive division overall, I think. So we'll see.
Yeah,
It
I'd go Bosa
interesting.
verse. I
Yeah, I
think
was
is
gonna
my
say
two one
Bosa
two.
verse.
Bosa
I like
verse,
that.
I think.
What do you
I'd
think,
probably
Jake?
go with that.
Bosa-verse?
I mean, I wouldn't rule out like if Witherspoon keeps up what he's doing as a tackler, as a kind of a game wrecker, but also his cover skills. The door's been open. We saw Stephon Gilmore win Defensive Player of the Year. And we saw Pat Surtain. He shouldn't have won over Aaron Donald, but we saw it Pat Surtain as well last year. So cornerback is wide open. That door is open. If you are good enough, you can win Defensive Player of the Year. It's no longer just an edge defender award, which I think is good for the sport. So
I do too. You got to get those opportunities at corner sometimes to get those picks and get it, because that's what you really need is the interceptions. You can have the lockdown numbers. You can have, you only give up this many yards receiving. They're still going to come down that bottom line of, do you have the INTs? Do you have the PBUs? If you made the play on the ball, and if you got that, you can do it. But that's whereas the edge guys both could go out a 4-sack game, bump his numbers, versus go get a 4-sack game, bump his numbers, and then just have consistency through the rest of the year, and they kind of get there.
No, definitely. Keep an eye on, very quiet, but keep an eye on Braden Fisk, because I'm telling you, there were moments last year where, obviously Verse was incredible. I'm not taking anything away from him, but there were moments last year, especially that Eagles game, where you're like, Braden Fisk is the best player on the damn field right now. Like it was, aside from Barkley, he was insane. I mean, he has these moments where you're like, you see kind of that Donald quick first step, the, kind of contorting his body, using it to his advantage. I think he's going to be a really stout football player. And I think down the road, I think he'll have a shot. I'm not saying he'll do it now, but I think down the road, this is a player that I'm not entirely going to say he'd be better than Verse, but don't rule him out.
He's got to get the run defense up, buddy. If he's going to get to his being DPOY, that run defense got to come up in a major way.
He got much better down the stretch, much better. And as soon as he went down, think about this. As soon as he got hurt, that's when the Eagles just kept running like crazy.
True.
So
that was true.
Yeah.
Dave says Jess equals Cal from Talladega Nights. It's about to be Dr. Watts. Nice. Edwin comes in. He says, no one believed in us when we got Stafford, and after we won a Super Bowl, they thought we would be rebuilding for years. Let them doubt us. They hate us because they ain't us. Go Rams, Lakers, and Dodgers. I just threw up in my mouth a little bit. We appreciate the super chat. Feed Me More Seahawks says, how were those top safeties getting run on by Barkley?
What cracks me up is like Barkley's going to run over any one of your safeties. Like that is who Barkley was last year. He was probably the best player in the league. He was probably the most dynamic. He was probably the most dangerous. And now because of this, there's this narrative the Rams can't stop the run. No, they couldn't stop Barkley in the snow. Like, I see that all the time. I'm like, come on, man. Like, he was destroying everyone.
Dave says his car will poop out little rabbits on the track. He's talking about Talladega Nights.
Oh,
all right. Dave says Mike equals Luke Wilson in old school.
There we go.
Nice.
I love Old School. It's a great movie.
He's not going to slender sleep with underage girl.
Way to get creative here. He says Brandon equals Christopher Walken and Joe Dirt.
I think he was in Joe Dirt. Walker
was.
Oh, he was, yeah.
Dave says, so Jake reminds me of South Park for some reason.
Just a general character.
All of South Park?
Nobody specifically.
Cartman. Batman.
Oh my God.
What's up, Samir? He says, what's up, Jesse? This is becoming my favorite show. Nice, man. Appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Well, every Tuesday in the season. Every Tuesday.
Yes, every Tuesday during the season. You check it out. For everybody that's not subscribed, go to Roundtable Sports, NFC West Roundtable. This show is live every Tuesday during the regular season. So definitely show love over there. And then he comes in and he says, hey, Jesse, I bet you a hat. The Niners will not end the season as the worst defense in the division. Pick your stat, anything except for total yards. Okay, let's go turnovers. And I will take that bet. We will go for turnovers forced.
That's tough, Samir.
The bet. Garth says, love the crew and Z-Bot. What's the status on the Niners versus Rams tickets? Sorry, just got here and we'll catch on the rewind. You don't have to. It's pinned in every chat, regardless of which chat you're in. It should be pinned to the top. I believe there's around 10-ish or so left. And once they're sold out, they are sold out. But we are a full go for that event.
Yep.
Once again, that event is week 5. Rams, 49ers, Thursday Night Football, SoFi Stadium. We will sit together at the game. So $300 gets you into the game to sit with us. It also gets you to a live pod and then tailgate. So $300, man. It's a great deal. I spent over $600 on my ticket alone last year. So at SoFi, it's very expensive there. Deuce says it's McVay, best in the West. Yeah, that's consensus. No. Dylan says, do all NFC West teams go 500 this year? Yes. Yeah,
well,
they
not
all go
500
500
plus, but
five.
I would say 500.
Yeah, the schedule's the way that they're set up. I mean,
well,
you
they
can
have
see
to either 9 and 8 or 8 and 9.
My bad. Not all of them are going to win 10 games, is what I mean. Like, now 9 and 8 is 500 to me. I totally, bruh.
Scotty D says Kyle had the head-to-head versus Sean 10-6. That was my point of collective. Okay, that's fair. Kyle, more coaching tree successes. Ooh, I don't know about that. Half the league runs his offense. About that, McVay is an argument there too. No problem saying Shanahan is top, but Jesse hate on Kyle trigger. No, I don't. Let me get
the real difference here in that what you have between Kyle and Shan, beyond the fact that Kyle's won the Super Bowl, which is kind of a big deal. Look at how he's had to navigate through a couple of different eras here. He's gone from the Goff era to the Stafford era. They've navigated out of the Donald era, now seamlessly last year getting the conference championship. It does seem like Shanahan on the other side of it's kind of grinding the wheels out on the car that got you there. You know, you've miled this thing out. There's nothing left on the tires and you're just trying to crank it on home if you can get it there. And I think there's something also in that. I don't know about coaching trees gets me a lot. It's like that. I don't know if that's good that you're doing it, but
yeah, but also like McDonald's sucks for the Dolphins. Saleh is back for a reason because he sucked with the Jets. It's D'Amico Ryans is the only one that's had quote unquote success. I mean,
Zach Taylor played in the Super Bowl, which Sean McVay beat him in.
Yeah, I mean, so who's come from
McVay's
coaching tree? You got Taylor, who's been in the Super Bowl. LaFleur with the Packers, and they're crushing it. And then you've got a buddy in
O'Connell,
Atlanta. Right? Kevin O'Connell.
O'Connell. Yeah, dude, it's not even close. Not even close. It's not even close. McVay's coaching tree is way better.
You should see the coordinators too. Like what's his face, who somehow hasn't gotten a coaching job yet. Ajiro Evero. What the job he did in Denver, the job he's doing in Carolina with hardly anything. I mean, now they'll actually have something this year, but yeah, no, Sean McVay quite literally has to replenish more than 60% of his coaching staff every single year. So that is not the hill you want to die on.
Yeah, I agree.
Dave says every Tuesday, Jake's talks 2 hours. And 3 others get correct.
He's getting better. He is getting
better.
For so long, I was used to doing a show by myself for like 5 hours. So Brandon knows. Brandon
does it too, man. Brandon puts together long shows. I don't know how he does it. It's crazy.
I can't do it anymore.
Samir says turnovers forced is smart. Alas, see, I was thinking points, but there's so many things that go into points. So it looks like we've got ourselves a bet. We've got ourselves a walk-off. All right, fellas. Hey, listen, really appreciate you guys for joining me again. Another fantastic show. I think what we've agreed on is we'll probably end up going to every other week throughout the off season. And then, and that'll be Tuesday on all of our channels. And then once we get into training camp, it'll be back on the NFC West Roundtable on that channel. And we will be there every single Tuesday. So make sure you tap in there. Once again, if you want to go to the event, the Rams 49ers game, sit with us. The link is pinned at the top of all of our chats. And until next time, thank you to everybody over on Jake's channel, Mike's channel, Brandon's channel, and mine. We appreciate the support. Much love. Talk soon. Peace.
Go Cards.
Go.